All right, y'all, so here we are, and boom. All right, y'all, so here we are, and boom. I want to start out
So
first.
Mute.
Boom. Okay. I want to start out by first telling you, watching ICE and Border Patrol as they were attempting to arrest. It was two officers. They are attempting to arrest a Hispanic man, and it's a 2 or 3 minute long video. It's disgusting. People are screaming at them and saying vile things. They are surrounding them. They're even grabbing the man's hand that they're trying to arrest. This guy would not stop resisting. And, you know, these people who think that a cop can take into custody a 15-year-old girl if they don't want to go in by themselves is a ridiculous thing that I've seen in news stories over the past several years of doing a talk show, and people call in and say, how come he can't handle that? He's a grown man, da-da-da. You got 2 grown men trying to take in one Hispanic man who is not, bulky and, built. He's just an average guy. And he was able to resist to the point where they could not get the flex cuffs on him. You know, those are the handcuffs, zip tie handcuffs. They ended up, and people were getting dangerously close. They were grabbing him. They were, as I said, pulling on the guy's arm and everything. They were getting dangerously close, and they were helping, and it was wrong. And it was very scary. And they ended up just bailing and letting the guy go. I mean, I've never seen that happen before, ever. It's terrifying what's going on in the streets of Chicago. And it is sickening to see the thugs who hate, they love chaos, they love crime, they hate order, they hate law, and they despise our ICE officers who get the worst. And by the way, I don't give a frog's fet. You know what? 70 to 90% of the people that are rounding up our hardcore criminals are criminals. I don't care if they're criminals or not. An unprecedented invasion begets an unprecedented deportation. Okay. Now, what I also wanted to get into is that story, first of all, was disgusting and very, very much scared me, and it's terrifying because that shows the streets are winning. Second of all, we've seen 2 separate incidences. Many people still are confused. There's one incident that is absolutely terrifying. I'll play the audio for that in a minute, where police officers are, I should say that ICE and Border Patrol are boxed in. This is a terrorist attack. And there's 10 cars that follow ICE, and I've seen so many countless videos, you can see them on my Twitter feed, of thugs following the cops, following the ICE and Border Patrol, and harassing them, and then, of course, surrounding them and trying to stop them from doing their jobs. I've just seen countless videos out of Chicago over the weekend. But there were 2 major incidents that have been widely reported, and some people might still be confused. There's one where the officers were surrounded by a mob that was, it was after a police shooting. This is the 10 cars that boxed in the officers. There was a radical leftist woman, Hispanic woman, who was armed with, they say, semi-automatic weapon. I don't even know why they say that, because it's hard to find I mean, I guess you could say semi-automatic, but it's either bolt action. I'm not an expert, but it's either fully automatic, semi-automatic, or single action, which are, not many people are walking around the streets of a city with a single action or bolt action weapon. So, anyways, she had a semi-automatic handgun or gun. I don't know if it was a handgun or a long gun, but a rifle. But she was shot 3 different times, and that's when a crowd surrounded, and that's when you saw some of the rioting, and they were throwing cones, or like massive barrels and stuff into the streets, just destroying their own neighborhoods, and just being sickening, a sickening mob, and a violent, sickening mob of thugs who hate ICE and hate all that it stands for. And they got surrounded by that mob. And I'm going to play the 911 call on that. That's the big one that we've heard about. And that's the one where they shot her, and the police were told to stand down, not to go there. So, a couple were already there, and they couldn't leave. You'll hear that in the 911 tape, or the not 911 tape, but the dispatch audio. You'll also hear the 911 operator just be in disbelief that the chief of patrol for the city of Chicago Police Department told them to stand down, to not to you can go near there, but don't go into the area. Just stay 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away. It's utter disgust, horror, sadness, feeling that evil is winning. And then you have this other separate incident that we've seen video of widely, where there's an ICE vehicle, unmarked, but it's being chased by one of these thugs. The thug is ramming himself into the back of the ICE white pickup truck, and he is slamming on the gas so much that the car starts bouncing. They're in a construction area, and there's dirt and dust flying all over the place with the tires spinning. He's terrorizing and attacking the ICE vehicle, and he shoves the ICE vehicle over into the curb, and it can't move. And around the same time, another ICE vehicle shows up from behind the thug and starts hitting him from behind. And the officers pulled their weapons on the guy and such. I don't know why they didn't shoot him, but they didn't. And I think he got away at that point. So we have a war zone, and we have ICE unable to do their jobs. And the Supremacy Clause enables ICE to go where it needs to go to maintain federal law and to act out whatever their job is, to arrest, apprehend, investigate whomever, whatever is deemed necessary by the federal authorities. They cannot be impeded. If they are, it's a crime, and you know that, and I know that. They are being impeded. But what is also disgusting is seeing the mayor and the Mayor Johnson and Pritzker say that we don't need them, and they're causing chaos, and they're causing all these horrible things. No. You're refusing to enforce the law. You are calling these folks, and I'm going to play the audio in a little bit. Well, here, you're calling ICE jackbooted thugs. Here you go.
Our small businesses suffer when our residents and visitors who are shopping and eating are made to feel unsafe by the jackbooted thugs roaming around a peaceful downtown.
So, jackbooted thugs. I mean, dude, what do you do to jackbooted thugs? You resist. You throw stuff at them. You attack them. You run them off the road. You try to kill them, maybe. So, he's literally telling them, these are jackbooted thugs. You're right to go after them, obviously. Second of all, he and Mayor Brandon Johnson are both creating the environment that is perfect to have a vacuum of law enforcement so that federal authorities are vulnerable. And then when the federal authorities are surrounded and it's time to call in the reinforcements, fellow officers, in this case CPD, they refuse to do something. It is their fault that there's chaos. It is their fault that there's lawlessness. It is their fault that there's riots and horrible violence happening to our ICE and federal agents. It is their fault. They are the reason why Trump must call in troops. That's exactly what he needs to do. Now, we know tonight, I'm proud to sit here in the state of Texas, my home, Dallas-Fort Worth, and that 400 National Guard troops, with Governor Abbott's blessings, they have been called up by him, and Trump has accepted that. And I got this in tonight from the Chicago Contrarian, a very reputable source. We've learned from CPD source that the number of National Guard expected to be sent to Chicago will exceed 300. It could be as high as 500. We're told 100 National Guard will be assigned to ICE, Border Patrol, and the remainder of the detachment will be sent in neighborhoods in the west and south sides. If anybody tells you they know Chicago and that the south side's the worst, they don't know Chicago. If anybody tells you they know Chicago and the west side's the worst, they don't know Chicago. It's the west and south are both horrible. And if they tell you the east... There ain't no east. It's the lake, unless you live on a houseboat. So the neighborhood, by the way, where that thug, that illegal, resisted to the point where they could not cuff him, and people and thugs surrounded the cops and were attacking them and were trying to help the illegal. That was West Lawn, the West Lawn neighborhood in Chicago. Let me play you the 911 tape now, or not the 911 tape, but the dispatch audio that proves that, in fact, CPD was told to stand down. In fact, here is a graphic. This shows you right here. That's the call sheet, I believe it's called, or it's the queue where they get where dispatch comes in, and they have their I can't remember the exact word, but this is dispatch, and this is what they got on their computer telling them what to do. Please, Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this as related from, and then CS Caller 1 is approximately 30 armed Border Patrol agents who are being surrounded by a large crowd of people requesting CPD. So anyways, no units will respond to this. Please, Chief of Patrol, no units will respond to this. As related from, I guess, Chief of Patrol. So that is your hardcore proof and evidence that that's exactly what happened. And then you'll hear it on dispatch. And by the way, they're totally lying. And you're going to hear from Chief Superintendent, a.k.a. Chief, but he's Superintendent of the Chicago Police Department, Larry Snelling, in a minute. And he's saying, oh, no way, no way. And he didn't answer the question. Did your Chief of Patrol, did he order the cops to stand down? And then here he said, well, they didn't say to stand down. Well, they didn't use the word stand down. They said, don't go. Let me play it for you. You can hear it for yourself. And you've probably heard this, but just in case, you got to hear it. And I want to pick it apart a little bit with you.
Okay. Any kind of particular hairstyle, just younger, male, Hispanic, on foot, wearing all black?
No hairstyle.
Okay. 10-4. And one is for the hit and run. This guy fled from the scene at 37th Place in Kedzie. It all started at I-55 in Kedzie. Then they fled southbound at Kedzie, where that offending vehicle crashed. They ran the federal agent off the road. They fled on foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male, Hispanic, younger, wearing all black clothing.
You can hear this is exactly why the National Guard needs to be calling. This is insane. This is Mad Max. They've run a freaking agent off the side of the road. This is going to continue to get worse and worse and worse. Literally, the governor and the mayor have forced Trump's hand. He literally, and the law states in here, I'm going to quote Jackie Heinrich from Fox News, says President Trump says he would invoke the Insurrection Act if necessary. That's where he can call up any military he wants. There's no posse comitatus anymore stopping him. Here we go. One of the reasons why he can invoke the Insurrection Act is to suppress an insurrection, which this is an insurrection against our federal government, to enforce, and local government, whether they want to admit it or not. It's not legal in Chicago and Illinois to run somebody off the road, let alone a federal agent. It's not legal to box somebody in, let alone a federal agent in the course of their duty. But anyway, he can invoke the Insurrection Act, which usurps the posse comitatus and all these other things that can stop him from calling up troops, to suppress an insurrection, which this is, to enforce federal law where state authorities cannot or will not. And that's exactly what you're hearing. And where ordinary remedies are impracticable. And that I mean, literally every one of these, it sounds exactly like what's going on right now in Chicago. So he could do the Insurrection Act. I bet you he will soon. I know he doesn't want to do it so quickly, but dude, also when you're unable to enforce the laws, that's exactly, you cannot enforce the law. They will not let you. And we'll get into that in a little bit, where Mayor Brandon Johnson, he literally did an executive order for ice-free zones. Okay, federal government, you have the supremacy clause, and you're supreme, and we're doing your law enforcement stuff, but you can't go over it on this little patch of land because it's city land. Get out of here. He's either, well, he is an idiot, but he's even more of an idiot if he actually thinks he can do that. I hope for his own sake he's acting, because he knows he can't do that if he's got a freaking brain. Let me go back to the dispatch. I'll rewind it about 5-10 seconds and go on.
Foot westbound 37th Place from Kedzie. It was a male, Hispanic, younger, wearing all black clothing. 99.
Yeah, send the cars in that direction. Have them stay put 2 or 3 blocks away, all right? Have them hold tight until I give you further direction, please.
Okay, 10-4. And for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie per 999, if you guys can just, for the units responding to 39th Place in Kedzie, if you guys can start heading there as quick as you can, and then just hold tight for instructions with 999.
999.
999.
For the Chief of Patrol, clear everybody up. We're not responding over there.
Radio check. And again, per the Chief of Patrol, we have all the units that, per 999, Chief of Patrol said all units clear out from there. We're not sending anybody over to that location.
We're going to let 30 law enforcement officers surrounded by a mob who could be murdered, shot, killed, dragged, God knows what, kidnapped. We're going to leave them alone. I mean, this is this is spectacularly unbelievable. Leaving 30 federal officers alone to fend for themselves with a mob. And if you saw that mob, and it's on my Twitter feed, you can see the mob. It's just sickening. It's disgusting. Let them die is basically what the chief of patrol just said there. And he's right below the chief. And Chief Snelling, or Superintendent Snelling, was trying to, we didn't stop anybody. I'll play that for you again, but we'll get to that in a minute. Let me finish this off.
62, we're going to clear out as soon as we can, Spot. We're like locked in over here, so we're going to do the best we can to get out of here as soon as we can.
So that's where Superintendent Snelling said, well, they were there. There were cops there. Yeah, they were told to not go there. Some were already there, and when they were there, they couldn't leave because the mob wouldn't let them. Because the mob was in charge. The cops weren't in charge. The mob was in charge. The feds weren't in charge. The mob was in charge. That is insurrection. That is also demands the Insurrection Act to be invoked because when they will not allow ICE to do its thing and when they let mobs be in control, we had one murdered about 12 miles from where I'm sitting a couple weeks ago. We have the one that they arrested and shot. They shot her when she boxed him in. She had been doxing ICE agents and giving their addresses and putting it all out there publicly weeks before that. She was already on the radar. They were already internally reporting on her with ICE. Now, this is also extraordinarily important. I don't think you're going to hear this anywhere else yet. And this comes from, I tell people I tell my friends and family, Chicago is a lot of work. I fill in regularly there in my hometown, which I love dearly, doing it. I was on Friday, and I was going to ask to do this Friday again, but I can't. I'll be out of pocket. But, anyways, there's so many sites that are. There's like 5-10 extra sites that I've ever seen in Dallas-Fort Worth where I'm at that follow politics, teaching, law, cops. Here's one: the CWB Chicago, very reputable. Latin King gang. Feds. The Latin Kings leader put a $10,000 hit on ICE commander in Chicago. Latin Kings are one of the big ones there. I don't recall if the Latin Kings are anywhere outside of Chicagoland. They probably are, but that is a big one. There's Simon City Royals. There's Latin Kings. There's other ones, but Latin King's a big one. Okay? I think that is Chicago Regional. I don't think it's outside of Chicagoland, but I could be wrong. So the Latin King gang leader offered a $10,000 bounty to murder Greg Bovino, the head of ICE, who's there. Greg Bovino is running the whole show in person there. So he literally put a $10,000 bounty out after they shot this woman who was trying to possibly murder them and box them in and such. And it's Commander Gregory Bovino who this Latin King gang leader put a $10,000 bounty on. Juan Espinosa Martinez, 37 years old, known on the street. His street name is Monkey. $10,000 reward for Bovino's murder. This is from, again, CWB Chicago. $2,000 for information about Bovino's location. And it's in Spanish. I've seen it. Federal sources say Martinez dispatched gang members to the area of the shooting scene. Again, this is a big gang in Chicagoland. They can do these things. He dispatched gang members to the area of the shooting scene, instructing them to acquire weapons and guard Latin King's territory near 26th Street and South Drake Avenue. Also, it said on a Snapchat message showing a photo of Bovino, Spanish language caption translated to $2,000 on information when you get him. This is in the Little Village neighborhood of Chicago. And they have a long-standing this is really important for you to hear, too. They have a long-standing reputation, the Latin Kings do, for carrying out hits against rivals and law enforcement. Martinez is now charged with murder for hire. And you're going to hear Brandon Johnson, you're going to hear Pritzker, and they're going to say it's Trump's fault and he's a dictator and all this stuff. This is really, really bad. I don't care whose side you're on. This is really frickin' bad. And I swear to you, it's so obvious as I say it. I feel like almost dumb saying it. But J.B. Pritzker and Brandon Johnson are literally causing Trump to have to call up troops. He has to now. I also thought about this. The ICE agents cannot be followed from Broadview. Broadview is a suburb of Village. It's actually called a suburb of 8,000. And they're basically following them from Broadview, and they're just caravanning, and they're getting more and more of their pro-illegal mob friends to follow and harass. You'll see 5-10 cars following ICE, blowing through red lights and everything. They have to get extra agents, and maybe Guard can help with this too, but they have to cut off these cars. So, in other words, if ICE is coming, they need to have comms and say, we're coming, we're heading southbound on Kedzie Avenue, heading towards Devon, whatever. And we're gonna come around this corner and, have them just pull up and, like I guess maybe ICE slow down and then have them come right here and block the road and just go. There's got to be stuff. There's got to be tactics they can do. Or they got to have separate units that will follow them and will just stop and will arrest these people that are following them. There's got to be something done. They cannot be followed like this. It's terrorism. It's terror. It's harassment. It's insurrection. When I was a teenage punk in Chicagoland, where I grew up, born, raised in the city, born in the city, raised in the burbs, I followed a state trooper once on the highway, and she was speeding, and I saw her speeding. I wasn't right behind her, but I was pretty close enough. She came back around me and pulled me over, and she said, or I don't know if she pulled me over. I think she pulled up next to me, put her lights on, and got next to me, and she said, roll your window down. I think that's how, I was like 16 or 18. It's been a long time. She said, do not follow me, or you'll get a massive ticket, something like that. She's like, do not. I was like, oh. So I was like, my point being, you can't follow a squad car of a cop, let alone a federal agent. You also have, and you'll hear from the head of the Chicago FOP. You'll also hear from, in a moment, you won't hear from, but the FOP National, FOP and the Chicago FOP have completely attacked what has happened. And they're revolted, they're reviled by it, and they spoke of that there's obviously no law enforcement ever leaves any law enforcement out to hang them out to dry. They always go help them immediately. There's no question. So this is just so wrong and evil and wicked and sick on so many levels. Now let's go to here. Here's J.B. Pritzker talking about how Trump is supposedly consolidating power. Let's listen to this.
I refuse to let Donald Trump, Kristi Noem, and Gregory Bovino continue on this march toward autocracy. Their plan all along has been to cause chaos, and then they can use that chaos to consolidate Donald Trump's power. They think they can fool us all into thinking that the way to get out of this crisis that they created is to give them free rein.
They are not creating the chaos. The chaos is going on, and it's really, really going on now because you and Brandon Johnson have allowed it. You guys created this vacuum of authority, and that is why we have chaos. You literally are the one creating the mess. You could say Trump is because he's there, sending these people there, but they are allowing a vacuum of power to go so that mass chaos breaks out, and then Trump's going to get the power. It's so ridiculous.
Well, that plan will only work if we let it. The state of Illinois is going to use every lever at our disposal to resist this power grab and get Noem's thugs the hell out of Chicago. I'm not afraid. I am not afraid, and I won't back down.
It's very funny. I mean, this guy literally is going to get everything he says he doesn't want. He wants it secretly. He's going to get everything he says he doesn't want many-fold for what he's doing. Let's go on to, here is Pritzker. Oh, this is great. This is from the Western Lensman, one of the great accounts I follow on Twitter, and you can follow me on Twitter. You should, at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show, ChrisKrok. By the way, this podcast goes on, I come out of Rumble, and then it sends it out to everybody else. So I'm on Rumble, Kroc Talk. Just look it up, KROKTALK. YouTube and Instagram. Basically, all the accounts are there. All right, let's go to Pritzker. This is a Western Lensman put this out, and it's like you've got Pritzker first saying some BS. You have Tammy Duckworth saying some more BS. She's a U.S. senator from Illinois, disabled veteran, and then you have the third one is Snelling. Listen to how this rolls out because it's totally contradicting it. They are contradicting themselves. And where is that one? Pritzker, Duckworth, Snelling. Here.
What do you know about this incident? Were federal agents boxed in and assaulted?
Well, we don't have a lot of facts. What happens in these sorts of incidents is typically ICE puts out a press release before anybody else can speak with the press, and then it gets reported on social media and elsewhere. So they are just putting out their propaganda.
She claims that federal agents were surrounded and were threatened. What are local authorities telling you about what they think happened here?
Well, they lie, right? The Trump administration lies. We have a president who's a known liar.
So it's not true that there were 30 agents surrounded. It's not true that a woman had a gun and boxed in the officers so that she could kill them if she wanted to with her semi-automatic weapon. It's not true that they ran separately ICE agent off the road. It's not true that they rammed into an ICE agent and had their car was jumping. It was slammed down on the gas into the back of the ICE vehicle, pushing it into a curb. None of this is true, even though we've seen the videos and we've seen the mobs and the thugs. The questions everybody's asking today is, have these people not seen the videos? I don't think it matters. This is all about politics for them.
And they have been they've been lying about the situation all along.
They are agents of law enforcement.
So, here comes Larry Snelling, the Chicago police superintendent, who is literally saying everything that Pritzker and her said is wrong by default. Here he goes.
If you box them in with vehicles, it is reasonable for them to believe that they are being ambushed and that this could end in a deadly situation. Do not box in any law enforcement officer. If you ram any vehicle, especially that one that contains law enforcement agents, and that's any law enforcement, local, state, federal, county, and you do this intentionally, this is considered deadly force. Deadly force is anything that can cause great bodily harm or death.
No. Tammy Duckworth said they're lying. So why are you saying this, Superintendent Snelling? It never happened. Tammy Duckworth said so. J.B. Pritzker says it's Trump's fault. And when he's asked about these things happening, he doesn't confirm that they're happening. But here you are saying it happened. What is this? Are you lying too? Are you part of the Trump fascists? No, because that's what happened, and we all know it. Here's the Chicago Police, fraternal FOP, Chicago Police Union head. Here we go.
So could it be the units were told not to respond and then later were dispatched to respond?
Could it be? That's factually what happened. And the reality is somebody's lying here, whether it's the chief of patrol or Unit 999. And I could tell you, I personally know that lieutenant, and he has an impeccable record. On the other hand, the chief of patrol, not so much. He's been notorious for lying and stomping on anybody to get to where he's gotten to this point. Do I think he gave that order? Absolutely. And I think the lieutenant was just relaying what that phone call reiterated to him to not send anybody over there, because sadly, this department is in literally a shell of itself and so fearful of what politicians and this mayor are going to do to them if they respond. Every single citizen, the sanctity of life is what this city supposedly cares about. That doesn't discriminate between civil law enforcement. If someone's calling for help, we are obligated to go. And this person should be taken out of his basically assignment right now, stripped of his police powers and removed from command. He has no business wearing a badge.
Absolutely correct. And Superintendent Snelling never confirmed that the chief of patrol ordered that, but he knows he did, and he didn't answer that. And apparently nobody held his feet to the fire hard enough today at the press conference. I want to play for you also Superintendent Snelling, who says, no, and speaking of, no, we didn't have anybody stand down. No, we didn't tell anybody.
Were they told to stand down? Our officers were not told to stand down. Our officers were out there throughout the entire event.
They were told to stay clear. They were told not to respond. Nobody said stand down. You said that so you could say, well, they didn't say to stand down. No, they did say to stand down, but they said clear out and don't go there.
I would never tell our officers to stand down, because if our officers were in trouble and we needed help from other officers, I would expect those officers to step in and help us. And it's the same thing that we do on our side. When someone is in trouble, we're going to step in. So to get a little more information about that, we'll know by tomorrow what that exact conversation was.
Well, you don't need any information. We have it all here. We had it Sunday. We had it Monday. So there you go. I want to play one more piece of a couple more pieces of audio. Here is Pritzker the other day. I love this line. It makes me laugh so hard. Listen to this guy.
ICE is running around the loop harassing people for not being white. Just a year ago, that was illegal in the United States. Now, ICE is making it commonplace.
Who believes this guy? They're harassing people for not being white. Hey, you're not white. Nobody believes that.
That's not making America great.
He's such an actor. It's so funny. He wants that presidency. He wants to be the candidate for president. He's not going to make it. And then let's play Brandon Johnson. This is a sick man here, Brandon Johnson. The lowest rating, I think, of any Chicago mayor ever. And yes, the people voted in an even worse, more stupid person. By the way, I did not know this. When I was filling in on Friday in Chicago, do you remember the press conference they had with the Broadview mayor? You may or may not have got that one. It was last Wednesday, I believe. Larry Lightfoot, Beetlejuice, was there right next to her. She had Larry Lightfoot, a.k.a. Lori Lightfoot, and Beetlejuice was literally standing next to her at the press conference. The mayor of Broadview, 8,000 population village where ICE's facility for Chicago is based out of. That's a great little piece that I didn't know, and I missed that. That's absolutely hysterical. Here's Brandon Johnson. Now listen to this. Talking about civil war. Trump wants a civil war.
The right wing in this country wants a rematch of the Civil War.
This is what you do when you are failing. You say way ridiculous and stupid things. Just ridiculous and stupid things. He is such a failure.
I want that to sit in right now, because the President of the United States of America has declared war on the people of Chicago.
No, declared war on illegals and criminals. An illegal is a criminal for coming here illegally. Pritzker says that the Trump and the administration are the ones making it a war zone. No, you are leaving a vacuum to make it a war zone. Pritzker emphasized there's no need for military troops on the ground in the state of Illinois. We all know there is now, by default, because of what he's chosen to do. I mean, you have gang leaders putting $10,000 bounties on ICE leaders. You're going to have people running people off the road, boxing cops in when they're armed, and everything's just fine now. There were two other smaller stories with, as you probably saw the week before this in Chicago, where they're ramming ICE. Two different separate ICE vehicles were rammed by illegals they were trying to take into custody. So it's on. The green light has been given by Pritzker, by Brandon Johnson, that these are thugs. Go after them. They're jackbooted thugs. They're trying to harass people for not being white, which is so funny and ridiculous and stupid. But so attack them. We're not going to come. The cops aren't allowed to come. Attack them. Snelling's going to have to figure out this. He needs to fire this the CPD chief, although I think he was just doing what the mayor wanted them to do. And here's the difference. For my Dallas-Fort Worth peeps, we, particularly in the city of Dallas, we do not have a strong mayor system. The mayor of Dallas is just a figure. He's a figurehead. He has one vote, just like everybody else on the city council. He has no power other than the symbolic title of mayor. It gives him some more power. I know that, but it's nothing. In Chicago, they hire and fire the chief. Like everything, it's a strong mayor system, and that mayor controls everything. So I don't know what he's going to do, but I know that Brandon Johnson wanted them to not show up. I know that Pritzker wants them to not show up. It is just so sickening to think about this. It is. It's just disgusting. It's embarrassing being a Chicago guy. Also, what do we got here? This is here. Illinois sues to block Trump's National Guard deployment. The lawsuit argues Trump His order stems from hostility towards Chicago, not a genuine emergency requiring military intervention. Have they not seen the videos I'm talking to you about with the mobs? Of course they have. They don't care. I mean, we're going to have to see. I pray to God that not one ICE agent ever gets hurt or killed. You know that ICE agent that was dragged and shot and killed, that illegal? I think it was in Franklin Park, which is a suburb of Chicago. And Pritzker was talking about that too, and saying that the guy didn't do anything wrong, and they murdered him or something. I mean, it's unbelievable what they're saying. They're literally enabling and encouraging the thugs. I pray to God our ICE agents don't die, but I'm worried that's what's going to happen. We already know in Texas they tried to murder ICE agents by luring them out at the Prairieland detention facility for illegals in Alvarado, in North Texas, just outside of Dallas-Fort Worth. And there's now 17 Trantifa members that have been arrested. They had AR-15 type rifles. They drew them out with fireworks and spray paint and graffiti on their cars. The ICE agents came out, saw what was going on. They called 911. The moment the Alvarado police showed up, he was shot in the neck. They shot him right in the neck. They shot off like 20 or 30 rounds, and thankfully that officer survived. They shot and killed, I think, one of the terrorists, and now 17 total have been wrapped up in this and arrested. So we had a border patrol and police officers in McAllen at the border patrol station there get shot at. They tried to kill him. They returned fire and killed the terrorist. And then we also had the Dallas attempted murder on our ICE agents, instead killing 2 illegals, raised up by a nice radical leftist mom who hates the cops, who hates ICE, and hates guns, but who raised a left-wing terrorist. Okay, now, Trump flips his shutdown approach. This is from Fox News. Trump flips his shutdown approach, leaving Congress to take the heat. This is brilliant. It's simple, but it's great. It's a sweet little thing to mention. Democrats are the ones requesting a policy change, not the White House. The House already passed it, and as you know, it's a continuing resolution. It keeps everything on autopilot. So there's no reason to stop this or to be against this, except for the Democrats trying to make something out of nothing and shut everything down. So they've got that. Trump's just sitting there. He's instead mocking them. The sombrero videos are hysterical. Everything about that's awesome. So keep it up. This is a great little piece in the Wall Street Journal from one of their editorialists, Matthew Hennessy. Kavanaugh's would-be assassin is a man. This woke leftist judge felt sorry for this guy who was going to kill Judge Kavanaugh. He actually planned on killing 3 justices, and it was all because he read the leaked Roe v. Wade decision that was coming up? He read that, and he said, if I can kill 3 justices, I can tip the court, and this won't happen. That's exactly what this is, terrorism. And if you recall, there was very little there was very, very, very little, almost no protection for Supreme Court justices, even though they were being doxxed, threatened. People were protesting out in front of their house, being aggressive, and should never have been allowed to happen. The U.S. Marshals should have shut this down, but Biden didn't want to. He wanted to put the heat on him. He liked it. The people in Chicago and this guy, these are the Democrat shock troops. These are the Democrat shock troops. This is exactly what happened with St. George Floyd. Blessed be his name. You know, the guy who died from a drug overdose while in the custody of Minneapolis police. That is exactly what's going on here. Now, the judge says, I am heartened, because he says he's transgender and he's transitioning. The guy's name is, what is it? Mr. Roski, Nicholas Roski. Anyways, the judge says, I'm heartened that this terrible infraction has helped the Roski family accept their daughter for who she is. He's got a frickin' set of galloons, as my mom would say, and a penis swinging around down there. No breastises. So, no, he's a man. And he also, this guy writes about Charlie Kirk's alleged killer is in love and bedding down with a gay man who says he's a transgender. Minneapolis school shooter was trans, said he's, quote, tired of being trans. Audrey Hale was the trans terrorist in Nashville that shot and killed those children because she's a satanic. She literally talked about being a demon or worshiping with demons or worshiping demons and stuff like that. So did this other transgender terrorist in Minneapolis. So you are looking at it's demonic. It's demonic. It's satanic. And so he says, journalists often say, this article was columnist in the Wall Street Journal today, journalists often say 1 example is a fluke, 2 is a coincidence, 3 constitutes a trend, 4 puts us well into trend territory, but the media has been loath to connect the dots. So yes, there's a massive problem with transgender terrorists. Absolutely there is. Let's go to Virginia. I'm not going to get too much in the weeds on this, but I'm still going to talk about it. Before we do that, I got to play a ridiculously stupid, funny soundbite from The View today because they're mad that ICE is going to be at Super Bowl in San Francisco, and that Bad Bunny, canceled his to do a U.S. tour because of ICE. He doesn't want ICE to be there. So there's going to be ICE at the stadium in San Francisco. I hope that they're all around the stage and everything. And so the hens on The View came up with an idea here that it's just so laughable.
Everybody, get a little cocoa butter, sit in the sun. That's the first thing. and this is the only time you can probably ever do this, give yourself a Latin accent.
You know, Whoopi, that is such a good idea.
And see.
Whoopi knows. Didn't her husband or ex-husband or whatever dress in blackface? Remember that? Ted Danson? So Whoopi would know. She wants you to go in Hispanic face, I guess. And you can only do a Hispanic accent for this one time. What is she talking about? I'm going to do a Hispanic accent all the time. I'm going to tell you about this Schumer Shutdown, eh? All right, here we go.
If she can tell who's who.
Who do you think are buying Super Bowl tickets? I can't afford a Super Bowl ticket.
Okay, that's it. Oh, wait, I forgot that last part. This is great. Listen, I forgot about this part. Hold on. I knew there was
Everybody, get a little...
I knew there was a reason why I had more sound to go on this because she talks about here about Nazis. Hold on, let me see. This is so funny. These people are so crazy. Hold on. Let's get a little bit of a delay on my mouse here. I can't stand that. Here we go. All right, here we go.
See if she can tell who's who.
Who do you think are buying Super Bowl tickets? I can't afford a Super Bowl ticket.
During the Nazi occupation, there was one country, I believe it was Denmark or Norway, one of those, where everybody put the Jewish star on. And they didn't know who was Jewish and who was not. So what you're saying is very...
Yes. Put the... if everybody would put shoe polish on their face... Oh, my gosh. Okay, hold on. Here we go. Now, you've seen this by now, I'm sure. You have a guy who is a Democrat running for the Attorney General job in Virginia. He has several things that are really, really bad. Number one, he texted a Republican representative and said that he couldn't stand the fact that the former Republican Speaker of the House for the state of Virginia, he spoke at a funeral and said nice things about a Democrat at a Democrat's funeral. He couldn't handle it, so he freaked out, and he texted her and talked about 3 people, 2 bullets, Gilbert, who's the speaker at the time, the former Speaker of the House in Virginia, the Republican that he wants to kill, Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert and the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. Also, the lawmaker replied back to him on the phone, and he said, yes, I hope his children die too. Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy. His venom wasn't reserved only for the former speaker, Mr. Gilbert. He also said, quote, if those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves. He wrote another point in his text chain with this female Republican legislator, send them out awash in something. So he is saying that he wants to murder this Republican former Speaker of the House in Virginia. He's saying that he wants his children he wants to have his children watch him die, or actually his children die. In fact, about the children, he said, yes, he wanted to kill the children too, and listen to what he said about them. He said he wished death upon Gilbert's children. In a subsequent message, he said that Gilbert was breeding little fascists. This is the language that the Democrats traffic in. Fascist, murder, Hitler. And by the way, the woman that released this is a woman named Carrie Conyers. She did not release this. She never released this because this is like 2 or 3 years ago this happened. She only shared it with Gilbert, the former Speaker of the House. She said it was not her decision to make any of this public. She didn't do that. She gave it to him. Either he did it or somebody else in their sphere did it, but it was not her. The funniest thing in the world, too. Oh, by the way, this guy also got a ticket for driving 116 in I think a 65-mile-an-hour zone. He was like 51 miles an hour over the limit, and that's enough to put you in jail in Virginia. He did not get jailed. In fact, he ended up being sentenced to 1,000 hours of community service. He literally lied about community service. He spent half of that 1,000 hours of community service for speeding, like I said, 51 miles over the limit. He literally worked 500 hours on his campaign and said that was his community service, working on his own campaign. This man is obviously sick. He glorifies murdering. He wants to murder his opponents or the people he disagrees with and their children. He speeds insanely and then takes his punishment and uses it to help enrich himself. I mean, this is a real sick dude. I think there's some other stuff, too, I have. By the way, all these anti-gun groups sponsor him. Everytown, which is out of not Columbine, Sandy Hook, I believe. Everytown, the anti-gun group, literally gave him $200,000. They have been asked multiple times by many news outlets by this afternoon, and none of them will comment. They're not. Anytown won't comment. They have not reversed their endorsement of him, and they're not asking to get the $200,000 back. Brady PAC did denounce what he said, and that's what James Brady, the former Ronald Reagan press secretary who was shot. The Brady PAC did revoke their endorsement of him and did remove all mentions of him online. Gabby Giffords PAC, which also these are all anti-gun ones, still has his endorsement on the website. They didn't respond to a request for comment. So Everytown literally is not saying no. They're not pulling it off. They still have it, and they're not saying that they're going to give him his money back. This is an anti-gun group, and the guy they gave $200,000 to and have endorsed says he wants to put two bullets in the head of his opponent, and he wants to murder the children as well. And this is who Everytown's name is associated to. They will not denounce him. Everytown, funded by Michael Bloomberg, the fake Republican, former mayor of New York. So I think that's everything on this guy. Oh, wait, no, hold on. In 2021, there was a Norfolk police lieutenant in Norfolk, Virginia, who was fired, I believe, after donating $25 to Kyle Rittenhouse's legal defense fund. We all know Kyle Rittenhouse did nothing wrong. He properly defended himself. Jay Jones, this guy who's running for Attorney General of Virginia who wants to murder his opponents, he called it utterly disgusting at the time and demanded true accountability in policing. And so the police lieutenant lost his career over a $25 donation. So there you go. So this is a sick dude. And what's her name? Spanberger. Abigail Spanberger, who is just insanely leftist and will not comment about girls and men and boys, girls' bathrooms and all that stuff. She refuses to answer. She's a Clinton folks are coming in. Bill and Hill are coming in to endorse her and all that stuff. So, but she's former CIA. She also I read she worked right after 9/11 for a pro-jihad, like madrasa, some kind of a Muslim school in Saudi Arabia that literally blamed the Jews and hated, Jews and stuff like that. It's unbelievable how Democrats are so willing to overlook this crap. And I'm glad I saw Glenn Youngkin condemn this and say he should drop out. And he's golden in Virginia. Surprisingly, still after I think he did 2 terms now, his second term, he's at like a 60% approval rating, which is unbelievable for that state. That's great. All right, y'all. I will see you mañana.